Welcome to Concrete Block, the podcast where we dive into the latest news and current events from around the world. We're starting off with a developing story in the Middle East, where tensions between Israel and Lebanon have escalated into violence. According to reports, Israeli forces have launched a series of strikes against Hezbollah targets in eastern Lebanon, resulting in significant damage and loss of life. The conflict began when Hezbollah fired missiles at Israel, reportedly in retaliation for the killing of Iranian Supreme Leader Ayatollah Ali Khamenei. Since then, Israel has responded with force, carrying out airstrikes and ground operations in southern Lebanon. Hezbollah has claimed that its fighters confronted Israeli troops who infiltrated an East Lebanon town overnight, and the Lebanese authorities have reported at least 16 killed in Israeli strikes on the area. The United Nations has warned that the conflict is set to get even worse and has called for urgent talks between Israel and Lebanon to end hostilities. The situation on the ground is dire, with over 300 people displaced and many more affected by the violence. The international community is watching closely, and there are concerns about the potential for further escalation. We'll continue to follow this story and bring you updates as more information becomes available. For now, it's clear that the situation in the Middle East remains volatile and unpredictable. We'll be right back with more of today's top news on Concrete Block. Welcome back to Concrete Block. We're diving into a developing story that's making waves in the global energy market. The recent escalation of tensions in the Middle East has sent shockwaves through the oil industry, causing crude prices to skyrocket. According to reports, Iran has brought traffic through the Strait of Hormuz to a standstill and begun targeting key energy infrastructure in the region. This has resulted in a significant increase in oil prices, with U.S. benchmark West Texas Intermediate crude gaining 38% over the past week, briefly crossing $92 per barrel. Brent crude, the international pricing benchmark, also picked up more than 28% over the week, briefly trading above $94 per barrel. But what does this mean for consumers? Well, as refiners' costs to purchase crude go up, the prices they charge buyers of their refined products, such as gasoline and diesel, rise in tandem. This is then passed on to consumers at the pump. Futures on wholesale gasoline have soared since the Iran conflict, gaining more than 25%. It's worth noting that while the U.S. produces a significant amount of crude oil, the country's refining system was largely built decades ago to process heavier, more sulfur-rich crude oils. Much of the boom in U.S. output over the past decade has come from shale fields that produce lighter, sweeter crude. However, U.S. refiners still import millions of barrels of heavier crude each day, mostly from Canada and Latin America. Analysts estimate that for every $10 increase in the underlying price of crude oil, gasoline pump prices in the United States tick up by roughly $0.25. Given Brent is trading at roughly $84 per barrel right now, a jump up to prices above $100 per barrel could mean a per-gallon pump price increase of $0.50 or more. As the situation continues to unfold, it's likely that Americans will start seeing these surging crude prices reflected at their local pumps. We'll be keeping a close eye on this story and bringing you updates as more information becomes available. Welcome back to Concrete Block. Today, we're diving into the world of U.S. politics, where a recent shakeup has left many wondering what's next for the country. We're talking about the departure of Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem and the appointment of Markwayne Mullin as her replacement. Now, let's break it down. According to reports, Noem's exit was a result of a culmination of factors, including her handling of several high-profile incidents and perceived mismanagement of her staff. But what really caught our attention was her response to a question about an advertising campaign, which seemed to be the final straw for President Trump. It's worth noting that Noem's tenure was marked by controversy, particularly when it came to immigration policies. Her comments on certain incidents, such as the fatal shooting of a nurse by Customs and Border Protection officers, raised eyebrows and sparked outrage. And let's not forget the millions of dollars spent on deportation campaigns, which have been widely criticized. On the other hand, we have Markwayne Mullin, the new Homeland Security Secretary, who will undoubtedly face his own set of challenges in this role. As a former senator, he has a reputation for being a strong advocate for conservative values, but it remains to be seen how he'll balance President Trump's demands with the needs of the department. Current and former officials are cautiously optimistic about Mullen's appointment, hoping that he can help restore morale within the department and shift the focus away from just immigration. As one expert noted, the Department of Homeland Security is not just about immigration, it's also about cybersecurity, disaster relief, and so much more. As we wrap up this segment, it's clear that the road ahead for Mark Wayne Mullen will be filled with obstacles. But one thing is certain, the American people are watching and they expect results. It's a delicate balancing act, but one that's crucial to the success of the department and the country as a whole. That's all for today's Concrete Block. Remember to like, share, and subscribe, and until next time, stay informed.